He was one of the most enigmatic leaders of all time, Saddam Hussein. In conspiracy theories, it is often asked whether Saddam Hussein was a time traveler. But above all, Saddam already believed that he was reincarnation of a world leader who have died thousands of years ago. Moreover, this person was one of the rulers mentioned in the exegesis of the Quran. There are such details about him that you need to hear. In this video, you will hear very interesting things. Why did Saddam Hussein order 10,000 PlayStation 2 units for the Iraqi army? How did he have the Quran written with his own blood? If you're ready for an exciting adventure from Babylon to Dimension Gate hidden in Iraq, let's begin. Saddam Hussein was born in 1937 to a poor peasant family in the Tikrit region of Iraq. His childhood was spent in one of the most impoverished areas of the country, a setting that laid the foundation for the tough personality he would later develop. During his youth, he enrolled in law school twice, but each time he abandoned his studies to join revolutionary activities. In 1959, along with the Ba'ath Party, Saddam attempted to assassinate Iraq's Prime Minister Abd al-Karim Qasim. The assassination attempt failed, and Saddam, wounded, had to flee 500 kilometers to Syria. He had been shot in the thigh, and the bullet was removed with a knife during his escape to Syria. The time he spent in Syria marked a turning point in his political career. When Saddam returned to Iraq in 1963, he quickly became one of the key figures in the Ba'ath Party. However, he was arrested again during this period and spent 2 years in prison. He escaped from prison in 1966 and began playing an even more influential role on Iraq's political stage. As the vice president of the Ba'ath Party, Saddam took significant steps to modernize Iraq's economy and nationalize its oil industry. After becoming president, he focused on social services and infrastructure projects, which garnered attention. His relationships with the West also took shape during this period. The support he received from the West during the Iran-Iraq War helped him gain international recognition. However, the devastating consequences of the war inflicted severe damage on his country. One of Saddam's extraordinary traits was his writing career. Over his lifetime, he wrote 4 novels, one of which was a love story that achieved significant commercial success. In the final quarter of the 20th century, as Saddam Hussein emerged as Iraq's leader on the world stage, he was not only driven by political ambitions, but also by a deep interest in history. One of the most striking aspects of his character was his astonishing fascination with Nebuchadnezzar, one of the most powerful rulers the world had ever seen. This was a distinctive trait that set Saddam apart from other leaders. He considered himself the reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar and believed that the ruler's spirit had been reborn within him. This belief influenced many of his political and military decisions, transforming his mission into one of reviving the lost glory of Babylon, as if he were on a time-traveling quest to resurrect the ancient city. Let's briefly recall Nebuchadnezzar and Babylon, which is known as the greatest enemy of the Jews in history. Babylon was one of the most important cities in human history, renowned for its size and grandeur. It was the city to which the 2 angels mentioned in the Quran, Harut and Marut, were sent, warning the people, "We are only a trial, do not fall into disbelief." The people of Babylon learned magic from Harut and Marut, making it a city with a past filled with legends, wonders, and great events. This city, home to the legendary Tower of Babel and the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, was founded in 1894 BCE by the Amorites and eventually became one of the most significant cities in Mesopotamia. The Babylonian Empire reached its zenith, especially during Nebuchadnezzar's reign, becoming a major cultural, economic, and military power. Nebuchadnezzar went down in history as one of the most powerful rulers of the Babylonian Empire. One of Nebuchadnezzar's most notable actions, known as Buhtun Nasr in Islamic sources, was his campaigns against the Kingdom of Judah. In 597 BCE, he captured Jerusalem and exiled the king of Judah, Jehoiakim, to Babylon. 11 years later, he besieged Jerusalem again, completely destroying the city and demolishing Solomon's temple. These events marked the beginning of the Jewish Babylonian exile, a period that became a pivotal point in Jewish history, playing a crucial role in shaping their religious and cultural identity. Nebuchadnezzar was a ruler who disregarded God's warnings, viewing himself as superior to the divine, and was eventually punished by God, turning into a beast that grazed in the fields. Saddam Hussein, on the other hand, was a Muslim leader who acknowledged the unity and greatness of God. At this point, there could only be two reasons why Saddam associated himself with Nebuchadnezzar. One, and perhaps the most significant, was Nebuchadnezzar's elevation of Babylon to its highest level, making it one of the most magnificent cities in world history. Saddam, like Nebuchadnezzar, wanted to make Iraq the center of the world, and even sought to rebuild ancient Babylon in every way. Another reason for Saddam's identification with Nebuchadnezzar could be his attitude toward the Jews. Under Saddam Hussein's rule, there was intense propaganda against Jews, who were viewed as enemies of Iraq. As a result, during Saddam's regime, the majority of Jews were forced to leave Iraq. This wave of migration was a direct consequence of Saddam Hussein's oppressive policies toward Jews. By 1991, during the Gulf War, Saddam Hussein launched missile attacks on Israel. These attacks directly targeted Israel and were perceived as a threat to the Jewish people. Saddam Hussein might have genuinely reminded the Jews of Nebuchadnezzar. Saddam's interest in Babylon and Nebuchadnezzar was embodied in his efforts to rebuild the city. This is the palace of Saddam Hussein that you see here. Built in 1982, the palace was constructed on the ruins of Nebuchadnezzar's ancient palace. Saddam had reliefs similar to those of the Babylonian king carved into the walls of this new palace, along with his own figures. He was attempting to revive this ancient city that had spread across Iraq, just as Nebuchadnezzar had ruled in its glory days. However, all of Saddam's efforts were in vain. On December 30th, 2006, the first day of Eid al-Adha, Saddam Hussein was hanged. Although the figures and reliefs etched into the walls of the palace he built reflected his dreams, they could not change reality. Hidden among the walls of the palace, there was an inscription on a brick that read, "This was built to glorify Iraq, Nebuchadnezzar's son, Saddam Hussein." The United States invaded Iraq under the pretext that Saddam Hussein was developing weapons of mass destruction, including nuclear and biological weapons, that posed a threat to the world. But was this really the reason? Now hold on, because a lesser-known theory might make you see the invasion of Iraq from a completely different perspective. It is claimed that Saddam Hussein had access to an interdimensional portal that allowed access to extraterrestrial technology and weapons, a kind of Stargate. This theory is reminiscent of the mysterious excavation in Tarsus, Turkey, where a similar portal was rumored to have been found, a story I discussed in a previous video where I mentioned the workers who descended underground in Tarsus and never returned, disappearing forever. According to this belief, the United States and its allies invaded Iraq out of fear that Saddam would reveal this information. They believed that through this Stargate hidden inside a ziggurat in Iraq, Saddam Hussein had somehow gained access to alien technology. This photo was taken in the ziggurat, where the Stargate was allegedly hidden, following the invasion. Yes, I know this sounds like a science fiction theory. Whether it's true or not, only God knows, but you should be aware that these interdimensional portals have been a subject of scientific research for many years. For instance, the theoretical structure known as the Einstein-Rosen bridge, developed by Albert Einstein and Nathan Rosen, proposes the idea of a gateway that connects two distant points. Theoretically, these bridges could allow for rapid travel across different parts of the universe. These theoretical structures form the basis of what is scientifically known as wormholes, and many scientists have been investigating whether such structures could exist. Additionally, research at CERN has sometimes been associated with these kinds of portals. The Large Hadron Collider at CERN has sparked speculation about interactions with dark matter and the potential for gateways to different universes. Although these theories push the boundaries of scientific research, they demonstrate how the idea of stargates aligns with scientific exploration. The idea that ancient civilizations, especially those like the Sumerians, had contact with extraterrestrial beings and even established stargates in specific regions has long intrigued scientists and historians. Some researchers have suggested that certain areas on Earth may have the potential to connect with other dimensions or distant corners of space. In these regions, electromagnetic anomalies or strange energy fluctuations have been detected. These findings provide a theoretical basis for the possibility that stargates could be real. Was Saddam Hussein hiding something in this regard? It's not easy to find an answer, but one thing is certain: Saddam Hussein was no ordinary leader. Here are some other surprising facts about Saddam, who was awarded a UNESCO prize for improving Iraq's quality of life. Saddam Hussein made a shocking decision to have a Quran written with his own blood. This event, one of the most extraordinary and controversial in world history, had significant religious and political implications and provoked various reactions. The background to this event begins in 1997, when Saddam Hussein decided to have the Quran written with his blood as an expression of gratitude to Allah for protecting him on the 60th anniversary of his rule over Iraq. Saddam collected about 27 liters of his blood and entrusted the task to one of Iraq's famous calligraphers, Abbas Shakir Judi al-Baghdadi. However, there was a problem. The amount of blood required was nearly 5 times the total blood volume of an average human. As a result, Saddam needed to donate his blood regularly to healthcare teams over several years. Nevertheless, Saddam accomplished what he had set his mind to. The Quran, written with his blood, took 3 years to complete and was displayed at the al-Marek Mosque in Baghdad. Saddam intended this Quran to symbolize his personal sacrifice and reflect Iraq's religious and national identity. However, this endeavor sparked significant controversy. Many Muslim scholars and theologians deemed it religiously inappropriate, as blood is considered impure in Islam. After Saddam Hussein was overthrown in 2003, this Quran was hidden from the public by the Iraqi government. Some officials argued that the work should be preserved due to its religious and historical significance, while others believed it should be destroyed as a symbol of Saddam's regime. As a result, the current status and whereabouts of this work remain uncertain. During his tenure as vice president of the Ba'ath Party from 1968 to 1979, Saddam Hussein established literacy programs across the country by setting up reading circles in Iraqi cities. Those who missed these classes were sentenced to 3 years in prison. He built roads, schools, and hospitals, and created a public health system that was the best in the region. However, his work on weapons continued at full speed during this time. The most striking incident related to this was the large-scale order of thousands of PlayStation 2 consoles by Saddam Hussein's Iraq in 2000. At that time, the PlayStation 2 was not just a gaming console, but also a powerful piece of computer hardware. With its 128-bit Emotion Engine processor, it was highly advanced in terms of graphics processing and data analysis. It was alleged that Saddam Hussein planned to use these consoles for military purposes, although another theory suggested that he was actually working on developing a time machine. It was claimed that he obtained information for this machine from ancient Mesopotamian tablets. Another purpose was said to be to utilize the processing power of the PlayStations to create computer systems capable of performing calculations for missile guidance systems or other military hardware. Reports at the time indicated that over 10,000 PS2 consoles were sent to Iraq. Additionally, it was claimed that combining these consoles could create a system with much more processing power than the existing computers in Iraq. This event caused a major stir in the media and international security circles. Particularly in the US and Western media, concerns were raised that Saddam Hussein might use these consoles to create a type of weapon never seen before. Yes, we've just left behind the story of a leader filled with secrets and mysteries. I'd appreciate it if you could check out my other videos on the channel, hit the like button, and leave a comment. See you soon.